Bishop Sadji, thank you for your time this morning. Just as you watched that video, I too am CAV. What are your general reflections on that and why this matters?
It's exactly 7 years to the day since that video was presented to the General Synod. And it seems to me, Guy, the themes that it picks up, that of inclusion and belonging, leadership, experiences of people in the church is as relevant today as it was all those 7 years ago. Why is it important? When we unconsciously exclude someone from the table or the pulpit, we miss something of the person of God. At the heart of it, Guy, this is a theological conversation. Who is this God who's inviting us to discern and make decisions on behalf of the church? Who does this God invite around the table? This is the heart of discipleship in Jesus Christ, which is a discipleship of all nations. This is about the church in Antioch. This is about the kind of new heaven and new earth that Jesus has come to establish. And of course, the logical implication of that actually is also it matters in terms of how we love people. Neuroscientists have identified various kinds of biases. The point is, all of these biases in some way, shape or form influences our appointments.
In what ways do you think that by not paying attention to this, we might be missing out?
I want to give an example. I went some time ago to a conference on leaders of large churches. What was striking for me is the way the church appoints leaders of large churches. It is thoroughly monocultural and male. And therefore, we really have to ask ourselves, what is the bias we in the institution carry when we appoint leaders in our churches? So these things cut deep. I've met somebody actually last week. She was telling me about her experience 4 or 5 years ago. And even now she talks about it with the tangibility of what that did to, I suppose, the human soul. In that sense, kind of, what we do to human beings is eternal in some ways, but actually it lasts a long time, these exclusions and experiences of racism cut deep.
Yeah. Yes, so Bishop, what do you think are some of the things that we need to pay attention to and some of the ways in which we need to be aware of our unconscious biases?
A couple of things come to mind. The first is the more obvious one: be conscious of your unconscious bias. We all carry it. And once we kind of identify our own unconscious bias, I think we go a long way of being aware. So some of the questions I'd ask, take some time to ask yourself is, what's my default? Who do I trust? Who do I not trust? And I suppose there is an element of actually becoming aware of one's own unconscious bias. Therefore, it is in some ways, it's about being open-minded about the different kinds of gifts that might be necessary. Therefore, the gifts that people of the global majority heritage inevitably are going to be looking different. And therefore, we welcome and embrace that. It's about intentionality. We need to be intentional about actually ensuring that we are actually going through the processes and the people in ways that actually are fair and right and celebrating the gifts of all people. There is something about befriending people from diverse backgrounds that enables us to see the gifts. I think it's very interesting. One of the things that really helped me when I was in Gillingham was the number of people from Nigeria I got to know in my 7 years there. I have had a renewed love for Nigeria and Ghana and Eritrea and other parts of Africa just by making friends with people who are from there, and therefore seeing, that's how they are gifted. The other one actually is to challenge that sense of actually when this is not brought into the light, it often remains in the shadows. And sometimes that actually is, yeah. In this particular person I was speaking about, last week, I said to her, you need to really be intentional about challenging this. The easier option is actually not to challenge it, but the right option is for you to challenge it. And therefore, I've encouraged her. She was in a position of leadership, and so she was able to actually, in some ways, pick it up. I suppose my final thought around that actually is, how much do you want a church that actually is reflective of the world we find ourselves in? There is something about desire, about the words of Jesus. What do you really want? And I really hope we as a church go past the tick boxing exercise, actually is much more reflective of do you really want this? Because if you want it, we will live into it.